Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 454 of the Stacey West podcast. I am Ben, and tonight I'm joined by Chris. How are you, mate? Are you well?
Of course I'm well.
It's a silly question, isn't it?
Not to be well, isn't it? At the moment, yeah, I'm absolutely brilliant. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm a little bit tired because we've had quite the weekend away in Devon, and the weekend has just ended for us. Although we were at work yesterday and Monday, so it's we were working away. But yeah, what I'm this isn't what you want to hear as a podcaster, but I'm struggling to put everything into words, Chris.
Yes, that's a very bad thing for a podcast. But I know exactly how you feel, because we could quite easily just spend the next hour going, yay! And that would be it, wouldn't it? But we do want to do some sort of discussion and offer some sort of insight. But let's be really honest, this is kind of uncharted territory for us as Lincoln City fans, isn't it? And if we can't enjoy it now, like when can you enjoy football, really? So yeah, of course we're going to do our regular thing, but yeah, completely get how you feel. It's very difficult to put all these weird feelings into words, but we'll do our best, I'm sure.
Absolutely, we will. I mean, look, I just want to sort of go on the record a little bit before we get into the main bulk of the podcast, and just say thank you to everybody that came up to me and to Charlie and everybody else at the weekend at Cardiff. It was a really, really weird feeling, kind of walking around a city technically in another country, although not really. We all know what that means. And just having people come up and going like, Ben, I'm like, hello, hello, who are you? But yeah, it was lovely, genuinely really lovely. I had so many people coming up to us and saying hello, and that they listened to the podcast and everything. Yeah, it was just a really, really nice time. Really lovely away day. And then had a few drinks with a couple of the patrons in the evenings as well. Just an unbelievable weekend. But then obviously headed down to Exeter last night to watch the game there as well. And I didn't think we would be taking 6 points from those two games. I think we had a conversation in the WhatsApp group about, if we could take X number of points from how many games I think it was. I think we sort of settled on maybe 5 points from, was it 5 points from the next three or something?
The last three or something, yeah.
Yeah, and then we've gone and got 6 in the space of 2 games. It's absolutely outrageous. But I wanted to start tonight's podcast with a little bit of a tale that I heard before the game yesterday that has since gone probably viral, or at least semi-viral. Now, Chris, we all know that you've had your fair share of travel woes.
Well, one, but yes.
Well, it was one with multiple bits in it, wasn't
it? Yes.
Well, you also, you got the wrong train, and you got this, you've had your share of travel woes, let's say.
Now, I would like to defend myself here before you say things like that out loud. I did not get the wrong train. The train I got on was perfectly the correct train. The train I'd booked got cancelled. Thank you.
Okay.
So, yes, I would say it was meticulously planned once I got to Bremen. But your point of, yes, I know what it's like to have a travel mishap recently. So I'll let you carry on now. I've corrected your...
So yeah, I got to catch up with... I caught up quickly with Alan Long before the game yesterday, and he was saying that there was a chap that was being treated extremely well by the Exeter staff. I think by all accounts he was a bit suited and booted, and he was a little bit agitated when he got to the ground. And when Alan asked them, what's all that about them? Why is he kind of, is he a VIP? Is he special? What's going on? And they said, oh, he's come. This chap's come all the way from Spain. He said, oh, okay, that's some dedication. this chap's come all the way from Barcelona. Okay, that's a bit why. This chap's come all the way from Barcelona to St. James's Park, and you suddenly go, oh no.
Couldn't be further away.
It's since gone. I think it's gone a little bit viral, and I think Sky Bet are actually trying to find the guy so they can sort something out for him. But could you imagine going to the wrong ground at the opposite end of the country when you have a ticket to see Barcelona playing Newcastle and ending up? And to be fair to Exeter, apparently they gave him the full VIP treatment. They gave him here's a ticket. You can sit in the boxes and everything. They gave him the full, the full beans. But can you imagine, Chris?
Oh, it's brilliant. What a great story. Obviously feel sorry for the chap. I'm sure he was, if nothing else though, he's going to remember his evening, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely he is. But that just, it tickled me when Alan told me, because it didn't sink in at first when he said, oh, he's come here from Barcelona. I was like, that is dedication. And then I looked at my phone and I was like, oh no, that's why. Yeah, Barcelona are playing Newcastle in the other St. James's Park. I thought, oh dear. But he, along with, I think, around 500 Imps, got to watch us beat Exeter 1-0 last night. And Chris, we shall start where we always do, with the lineups. No major surprises that we're chopping and changing, given that we've got Stockport coming up on Saturday, who've had a bit of a clear run up to the weekend. But Jack Moylan coming back into the side, Tom Bayliss starting, and Ryan One starting, Riley Towler, Ivan Varfolomiev, and who else was it that dropped out from Saturday's game? It has eluded me. It is in my notes.
I wrote that down somewhere as well. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's in my notes.
Oh, this is really good listening, isn't it, everybody?
I do apologise, people. Yes.
We're all a bit giddy about how everything's going and maybe haven't practiced thoroughly as we usually would do. Who the hell was it? Someone help us out with this. I know you come to us for expertise. I can't find this on my notes anywhere.
It was Rico Hackett. Of course it was Rico
God, Of course. Ryan only played on the right for Rico Hackett. Sorry, everybody. That is embarrassing.
My apologies. Yes, it was Rico Hackett. Yeah, so Moylan, Bayliss and One in for Varfolomiev, Hackett and Towler. No major surprises. As I say, I think it was kind of expected going into it that we would shift things around a little bit. Obviously, on paper on Saturday it looked like a back five, but I think in practice it was a back four. And I think we've had this conversation in the WhatsApp, and I think the oracle of the Stacey West stats has confirmed that it did indeed look like a back four on Saturday, Chris.
Well, I haven't yet been able to watch the full game back. I watched about 15 minutes yesterday, and in the first 15 minutes, it looked like Adam Reach was kind of inverting on Kellyman. But yeah, he was playing on the right for them after doing so well, playing in the number 9 role recently. Anyway, it was a slightly different look to our shape, and certainly personnel in that shape on Saturday against Cardiff. We were kind of back to a familiar shape, I think, with a kind of a 4-2-3-1. Ryan One on the right, Ben House primarily on the left, with Jack Moylan floating in the 10 role, though he did kind of work from side to side at times. And I think he may well have ended up on the left in the second half. But yeah, it's kind of what we come to expect. Did expect whenever we're picking Jack Moylan in our team, he plays in that number 10. So as you expect, really. And it's a good start to the game, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely it was. I mean, we kind of came out of the blocks pretty quickly, as we tend to do. Rob Street firing over within just a couple of minutes. And that sort of set the stall out, I think. It was the kind of ball that comes in, you think, maybe a little bit warmer, 10, 15 minutes into the game, maybe gets that one on target. But it's it was a good little jab to start with, to start the contest with, I think. And then shortly after that, I think Jack Moylan just pulled one wide. Tom Bayliss put one over the bar. Adam Reach had a shot blocked. Tom Hamer put one wide. And in response, Exeter really only had their first effort was from Josh McGuinness on 27 minutes. So, I mean, before that, I'm just going to count the number of shots that we had. So we had
Rob
Street. 7. Okay, there we go. There was 7. Chris has done my counting already.
That makes up for forgetting about Rico Hackett. Hopefully.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So yeah, I mean, it was a fast start, and I think in Michael's post match, he said, we could have been 4 up. I think maybe within 20 odd minutes, probably a bit of an exaggeration, but we certainly weren't displaying any signs of any ring rust from Cardiff, were we?
No, none at all. None at all. Really quick start. As mentioned, we had 7 shots before Exeter had 1. It's not really just about shots, though. It was how little Exeter had in our half. They had very, very few passes in our half in the first 30 minutes of the game. We, not only when we went forward, did we generally manage to get a shot away or have a threatening moment. If that did break down, our counter press, I think, was probably our best part of our game yesterday, because, it was, I don't know if the TV really gave it justice, but it seemed from where I was sat to be horrific weather, which would have definitely had an impact on the quality of the game. Pitch was in decent nick, unlike when we mentioned the weather against Mansfield. But there did seem to be 1 or 2 heavy touches. And, when it's blustery and when it's peeing it down, it's difficult to be too clean all the time on the ball. But every single time that our move broke down, we were on it. We absolutely smothered Exeter in that first 30 minutes or so, really. It was good. It was really good. I thought Ryan Early looked really bright as well in that early part of the game. He's very different to Rico Hackett, isn't he? In that Rico's brilliant, really robust, got really quick feet, likes to drift on the inside, whereas One's just really direct, gets the ball, runs forward, runs down the line, or runs kind of in that diagonal towards the goal, tries to commit a defender. It's not no better, no worse than Rico. It's just different. But that kind of intensity and directness to his running, I think, was one of the defining factors of that early 30 minutes. Whenever he got it, he generally got a touch in the box. So I was just pretty impressed with him. Pretty impressed with all of us, really. I was just sat there watching, Ben, in that first 30, 35 minutes. And this might sound a little bit arrogant. I was just waiting for us to score. And then we didn't.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm going through my notes at the moment, and a little bit further on, I've just put wax lyrical about Ryan One, because I fully agree. He's got pretty much everything that we would want in a Lincoln City forward at the moment. He's got the pace, he's got the confidence, he's got the power to get through plays, get through the lines, and just break forward. And I think some of the interplay later on in the game, which we will come to, between him and Jack Moylan, was really, really lovely to watch. I mean, you'd see, Moylan in the middle, takes 1 or 2 touches, brings a defender towards him, and then he just plays a ball through into acres of space for Ryan Ono to run onto. And he always got on the end of it. I just thought he was brilliant last night. The only thing that was missing from it was a goal. But yeah, I'm with you. We were, so just on the weather actually as well. I don't think it was quite as bad as it looked on the TV.
Fair enough.
It was that Peter Kay on the go. It was that fine rain that soaks you through. It was very kind of, it looked heavier than it was. I think looking at the highlights, we were a little bit sheltered from it in the stand, but you could definitely see that it was drizzly, I think, but it was persistent drizzle, which obviously wouldn't have helped too much. And you say it's kind of held the pitch up a little bit. But yeah, I thought, I think that the first save that Wickens had to make was from Aitchison, and that was on 28 minutes, and that was shortly after McGuinness's first effort. And again, we seem to be doing this with teams at the moment, where we're really restricting them to shots from distance. We're not allowing teams to get into our box and get a shot off. We did it at the weekend against Cardiff, and that worked really, really well. And the same thing happened last night. We were restricting teams, or restricted Exeter, to really not having too much joy. I think the majority of the shots that they did get off They were either blocked or put comfortably wide. There wasn't a huge amount of Wickens has to make a save here, and the only way that people were doing that was testing him from distance, which I'm absolutely fine with, because we said at the start of this run, well, not quite the start, but quite a few games into this run, I just thought we're doing all right at the minute, but it'd be nice to see George Wickens get just a couple of clean sheets under his belt. And we're now talking 5 wins, 2-0 on the bounce, which is ludicrous, really. But it whatever it is that's happening at the moment, it's working, isn't it?
Yeah, and just to add a little bit of extra context to what you mentioned about the shots that opposition teams do have. So Exeter only had 3 shots on target yesterday, and the combined XG of those shots that were on target was 0.18. So you're absolutely right. When they do manage to get a shot at target, it's generally from a pretty low percentage area, pretty reasonably safe areas that you don't usually mind opposition teams having shots from. So yeah, absolutely right on that. And I suppose eventually, as the half wore on, we kind of got what we deserved, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, half an hour's gone. You kind of think, okay, we're in this. I don't think anyone would have necessarily begrudged us if we'd have gone 1-0 up before we did. But there was a free kick, and it was a free kick that was given, and the immediate chant that broke out from the Exeter fans was "shit refs again, ole ole." Now, when you watch that back, it's hard to argue that that's not a foul, because House has gone for the challenge, and then Moylan's come in to kind of pick the ball up from that challenge, and before he's anywhere near the floor, he's got his shirt's being ripped off his back and he's being bundled over. It's like, yeah, that's a free kick.
I'm very surprised at that chant at that particular moment, I have to say. I want to credit Ben Housley, because again, we mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but it was his counter press. He went and closed the ball down, got that very cleanly, by the way, but slid in to get the ball back. I think it was then Moran that came along to help him out.
Yeah.
In a 2v1, but ultimately it was House that won the ball back. And then, he's had his shirt pulled, he's been brought down. There's nothing wrong with that from a defensive perspective, by the way. If you've had your pocket picked and you think, flipping heck, it's 2v1 here, yoink, I'll pull you down. I'll happily take a free kick and potentially yellow card, and we can regroup from a dangerous area. But yeah, it just is a free kick.
There's no real argument. It just is. That's Chris's official opinion on the matter. But I mean, the free kick comes in. Really, really good delivery from Adam Reach. Tom Hamer stoops down, gets his head on the end of it. It's 1-0 Lincoln City. However, slight air of controversy about that one. I'm getting my tongue in. I'll be all right. Slight air of controversy about this. Matt Taylor for Exeter, the Exeter manager, believes, and he mentioned it at least twice in his post-match, that goal was offside. Now, I've watched that back a few times. We've seen screenshots from a couple of different sources, so not just relying on YouTube. I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. If VAR sees that goal, it disallows it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, mate, if I'm honest. I don't think anyone in the stands, though. I could be wrong, but particularly that in the big bank behind the goal where it was scored, I can't see many of them appealing for offside in the moment that it goes in.
Oh, they were. They definitely were.
Were they? Oh, fair enough.
Yeah,
okay.
There was.
I wasn't saying I didn't see them. I just can't imagine it from that situation. All right, fair dues, they were. It didn't cross my mind when watching it.
No.
To be honest, it didn't cross my mind in the slightest that it could be offside. But looking at those freeze frames, of course, we haven't really got the perfect angle. But yeah, potentially he was a smidge offside. Though, of course,
it's right on the cusp, isn't it? It's right on that. Yeah.
If Arsene Wenger's new fandangled rules come in about the whole daylight between attacker and defender, it wouldn't be offside. I know that's not the rule right now. It wouldn't be offside. Which, by the way, on a little side note, is a stupid idea. it doesn't change anything. You're just drawing the line in a different spot, but it's still those stupid micro managing those moments again. Anyway, that's a little gripe of that. But also, even though maybe it was offside, maybe not. Great ball in, really good header, but also really good movement to create space for Tom Hamer at the point that Tom makes contact with the ball. Bearing in mind the ball's coming from our left-hand side towards our right-hand side. As you're watching it from the TV angle, there are 3 Exeter defenders outside of Tom Hamer and the nearest Lincoln player. So that's effectively 3 Exeter defenders, the wrong side of the ball, can't defend the set piece. A little bit of clever movement has just left 3 players completely kind of useless in that moment, which allows Tom to get in front of Sweeney, who he does well to beat Sweeney too. I think it was Sweeney. And it's a good header in the corner. So, yeah, obviously we loved it. I'll be honest, when I was watching it, I didn't even really celebrate that much. I was like, yep, good, next. Then I kind of realised I was being a little bit kind of maybe complacent in my, I was sat on my own and I was just thinking, no, come on, mate. Like, it's not as simple as that. Come on. I keep telling myself this all the time, but it was just because it was so expected that eventually we would score, not necessarily because of it's Lincoln versus Exeter, but because of how the first half an hour of the game had gone.
Yeah,
it did feel inevitable that we'd score. We thought, oh, there we go. That's the first one. I want another one now, please. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, to be honest, that was probably the feeling in the away end as well. Like, we were all sort of hoping it's okay, cool. Well, we need to get one before half time. We need to go in 1-0 up because we've been the better side. I think we need to, cement it with a goal. And yeah, when it came, it was, I think it was maybe a little bit of relief from a lot of us there. It was kind of, okay, cool. We're 1 up. Let's go again. Let's get the second. Let's kill it off. But we couldn't quite manage it. It just seemed to be, we would continue to knock on the door a little bit. I mean, I think there was two more efforts on goal before then. Owen had a shot on target, and I think that was probably about it. One fizzed one wide, didn't he? Fizzed one wide.
Really good effort that as well.
Yeah, it was one of those instances where you look at it, you go, is it a cross? Is it a shot? I don't care. It's really powerful. It's a decent effort. If it takes a deflection and goes in, if it's a great shot, if Ben House gets his foot on the end of it, it's a great cross. Either way. And it was just unfortunately couldn't get his foot on the end of that one and divert it in because he was just there smidgen too late. But I think we showed enough attacking intent to be 1-0 up at the break. I mean, there was a couple of shots from Exeter just before half time. I think there was one that was blocked, and then Pierce Sweeney had a shot on target, which I don't think it really resulted in too much for George Wickens to do, which I think again is the story of his evening. But yeah, I mean, going through the numbers, I think the numbers that I've got in front of me, the XG was basically bang on. We were 1.02 to 0.28. It was pretty solid. 12 shots to 5, 2 on target for us, 3 on target for Exeter. And that felt like that was going to be the, going into the second half, we kind of think, that's going to be, how we will continue to play. Didn't quite work out like that for the entire half, but yeah, going in 1-0 up at half time, I don't think it was undeserved in any way.
No, I think it was totally deserved. Just one little thing though, and let's be honest, none of us have any right to be complaining about anything about Lincoln City right now. So I'm going to feel a little bit bad saying this, but 12 shots, 8 of them were inside the 18-yard box. Only 2 on target in the first half. I would say that if there is anything to criticise, we like to be as balanced as possible, but I'd say the only criticism of the first half would be the fact that just one or two of those that missed a target would have liked to have made Joe Whitworth work, because he's a good goalie, by the way. Joe Whitworth, really strong keeper at this level, really good shot stopper. But would like to make him work a little bit more in that. In that first half. But ultimately, 12. It was really dominant, absolutely deserving of our lead, and did feel same as you. If we can play like that, come out quickly at the start of the second half, score an early goal, it's probably game over. We're absolutely fine. And It kind of did go like that for the first sort of 15 minutes or so
Yeah.
of the second half. But as you said earlier, it wasn't the story of the whole of the second half.
No, absolutely. And again, it was there was a couple of decent efforts. I think it felt like it was coming. They were obviously shooting towards the fans in the second half. One thing just on the end of the first half, actually, that I think may tie into some things a little bit later on that we're going to come to talk about. There was an incident off the ball with Rob Street. I don't think anybody caught it at the time. We just kind of saw it and went, "Oh, Rob Street's on a floor in a pile. What's going on there?" Yeah, it felt like it was starting to get a little bit needly towards the end of the first half. There was a couple of tasty challenges on Conor McGrandles as well. I think he had, and I think by the sounds of it, had his back of his ankle raked a little bit. But yeah, just starting to get a little bit tetchy, and I'm sure that won't come to anything, will it, Chris? Because it never does.
No, of course not. Can't possibly imagine what might have happened later.
So yeah, I mean, second half again, it kind of felt a little bit more of the same for the first, as you say, 15 minutes or so. Exeter making 3 changes on 55 minutes. Danny Andrew coming on, Reece Cole and Akil Higgins coming on. And that probably felt like it turned the game in their favour a little bit for the very obvious reason that we had to make some defensive changes not long after that, Chris.
Yeah, up until that point, so the first 15 minutes of the second half, we'd had 6 shots, so really good start to the second half, and Exeter hadn't had a single shot. So we had absolutely carried on as we had finished in the first half. But then, credit to Matt Taylor, made a really good, a couple of tweaks, not just personnel but shape as well. Asked a few different questions of us, and at that point, it wasn't that long until Mr. Taylor came on into his regular slot. We did revert to a back 3, and sometimes that can be helpful because sometimes it was helpful, but I mean sometimes it can be helpful in terms of getting us on the front foot. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I remember prime example of this was actually Cardiff at home, where we played a back 4, and that allows you to get certain more players at the pitch, etc. At least on paper. But what happened is Cardiff was so dominant with the ball, and both of our wingers were forced to be so deep. We basically had a back 6. So sometimes changing to a back 5 allows you to actually free one of those players up and put pressure on the ball higher up the pitch. This time, though, it did really feel like it was a defensive change to give us a little bit more solidity to nullify Exeter's threat. But in fairness, we had to weather a bit of a storm. Exeter had one really, really big chance not long before full time, but had a handful of total shots. I felt like we kept them at arm's length, if I'm honest. I didn't ever really feel that concerned. I have to admit, I felt a little nervous 5-10 minutes to go, but for the majority of the second half, felt reasonably comfortable. But we certainly didn't show much at the opposite end of the pitch, as much as we sometimes have done, even when we've changed our shape to see games out. But yeah, see it out we did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we there was a shot. I think it was Wareham towards the end. He had a shot that just went wide, and a lot of the Exeter fans thought it had gone in. So having that moment in an away end where you're like, oh no, there we go. No, it didn't go in. Because when you're at the other end of the pitch, I'm not the biggest fan of the view and the way that you can see the game from a kind of an analytical point of view when you're behind the goal. I much prefer to be, along the touchline and seeing everything there. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love being there. It was great atmosphere and everything else, but it was, when you are behind the goal, you can't necessarily see quite as much as you would do. And initially I thought, has that gone in? And just seeing the immediate reaction of everybody around, it was like, no, it hasn't. Everything's good. Let's calm back down. And we go again. But yeah, it was a nervy moment. And I think nervy is probably the wrong word. I felt like we wouldn't concede, But obviously, the more pressure that they put on, you do start to think, but we might. But it was never a kind of, oh, we're in danger. It was like, oh, okay, well, something, it would take something probably a little bit lucky for them to score.
Yeah, maybe. I think you've got to credit them because they're good at home. By the way,
Oh, yeah,
Exeter
yeah,
are a
yeah.
really really strong team at home, and how they do what they do with the budget they've got. We talk about our budget and how well we've been doing to punch above it, but we are on a certainly more of a more privileged position financially than Exeter are. They do really well, and I was maybe surprised at how much pressure they put on us in the last 15 minutes of the game. And I just want to credit them. Like I said, I felt we kept them at arm's length, bar that Wareham shot that went just past the post. I do think they're the sort of ones that when you're on a crest of a wave, they go in your favour, and when things aren't quite going for you, maybe they don't.
There was a quote, and I think it was from the Macclesfield game when we won the National League, and a cross came in and Holroyd put it over, and the commentator at the time just said, "Oh, when your luck's in, your luck's in," and it's like that has been. That's kind of been, where I think we've been for some of the games recently. It just felt like our luck has very much been in. But yeah, I mean, seeing the game out and doing what we did. I mean, Sonny Bradley got his head on everything. I think. Isn't
it interesting though? Because I think all of us, or most of us at least, gave Sonny Bradley our man of the match.
Yep.
I imagine if we had to pick a man of the match at half time, none of us would have picked Sonny Bradley. Not because he had put a foot wrong, but he wasn't really tested. But in that last 15, 20 minutes or so, he had to stand up and be counted. And he just got his head and his foot on absolutely everything that came into our box. And he was, I would say, probably the deciding factor that helped us keep Exeter at arm's length for that last 15. So it seems weird to give someone man of the match for just a 15-minute spell. I know Emily did that at the weekend with John Jeffries.
I was going to say Emily gave it to John Jeffries at the weekend,
which is absolutely fair, by the way. She said it was cumulative man of the match, which I completely understand. But yeah, Sonny Bradley was absolutely superb, particularly in that last kind of third quarter of the game or so that helped us get over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, get over the line we did. I think credit to the lads that came on. To see it out. I think it was nice to see Deji Elowere making his Lincoln City debut. He looks like an absolute unit. I think he's going to be a very valuable addition to the squad. And great shout for Alfie Lloyd again coming on and doing what Alfie Lloyd appears to love to do, which is just run and make a nuisance of himself. He was all over the place when he came on.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was good. We've kind of come to expect that from him now. He's had a few cameos, but I really like what we're seeing from Alfie. Just kind of fits a Lincoln City profile, doesn't he? Big, fast, powerful, but also willing. It's one thing having the attributes to be able to run and be powerful. It's another entirely different set of attributes mentally to actually want to use that. And he absolutely does. Absolutely does. Just to touch on a couple of bits and bobs actually before we finish, because we mentioned how we started the game so well, how we had loads of shots in the first 15 minutes of the second half, just to maybe paint a clear picture for those that weren't able to watch it, because I appreciate it wasn't actually on Imps Plus, was it, last night? I don't think.
It was if you
not Sky Plus. Sorry, it was on
Sky Plus
last night. That's what I meant. Yes, it was on Imps Plus via a VPN.
Via holidays.
Yes, of course. Yes. I saw that very interesting post by the club. Quite funny that. But yeah, we didn't actually have a single shot after 58 minutes. So yeah, Exeter did have the territory, and in the first half we were able to pounce on the second ball, keep them pinned in their own half, but we weren't really able to do that quite so much in the second half. So credit where it's due. But yeah, Alfie Lloyd did do what he could up top to keep the pressure at the right end of the pitch. And full-time whistle went. Sigh of relief for everyone, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's sort of we were all celebrating, and we were very happy that that we got 6 points from 6 in a big week. And then the celebrations were slightly cut a little bit short as everyone went, "Oh, what's going on over there?" So we will discuss that. Actually, probably best to discuss that the other side of a quick break. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, we'll say hello. For those of you that are at home, you'll hear an advert. And I can't believe we're 34 minutes into this podcast already, Chris. It has absolutely flown.
It has. Yeah, it has.
So, yes, we will see you on the other side of this. Right, who is in? We will go through. We've got 97 people watching on a Wednesday. That's not bad at all.
Thank you, everybody.
Rach was in first, but that's slightly ahead of TFSG. Says you beat me to it. I thought I might be first in. Rach had inside information that the link was going live because I told her. I was like, yeah, I'm setting the podcast up, go away. And that worked. So Ollie's in. Andy Brown is in. Devon Imp. Lovely to meet you on Saturday, my friend. Yeah, very nice to see Andy as part of the Cardiff celebrations. Leslie is in. Podcast Mum. Steve, Mr. Barton's in. Who else is in? Kate's in. Evening, fellow future championship fans. I think we might have to say it a little bit later on, Chris.
You know what? I still can't say it out loud, though.
I'll make you say it by the end of the podcast. I'll make you do it by the end of the podcast. Ian's in, says, evening, dare we start working out when we can go up in automatic positions? I can't bring myself to do it quite yet. I think you're probably in the same boat as Chris. Dave Sandal says, Sonny takes his shirt off and sends the stadium into a rage. Miles in, says, trying to get home for the start. And then she made it. So there we go. Richard's in. Gerard's in. Dave's in. Malcolm's in, says, caught you live for a change. Good to see him, my man. Up the Imps 02 says, up mighty Imps. Bish is in. Even chaps, what an unbelievable few days. We got it done last night at Grand. We struggle at. Good point. We come out of the next 2 games unscathed, and my word, happy days. Emily's here. Evening, everyone. 4 points clear. Oh well. Ben says we're going to do it, aren't we? I think we are. John Bates is in, says, hi everyone, life is brilliant. It is if you are a Lincoln City fan. Jacob's here, says, evening guys, how are you guys? We've got the win again, amazing. Keith's here, says, I thought we should probably been 2 or 3 up, but fair play to Exeter. Thought they've caused us more problems than Cardiff did. I would probably agree with that.
Yeah, very different, 2 very different teams,
types
aren't
of
they?
problems. Yeah,
but yeah, I totally agree. In terms of actually having to defend your box, yes.
Malcolm says we've equaled the record for clean sheets in a row in Football League games. I don't know if that's just Lincoln City in Football League games or if that is the EFL as a whole. If it is the second, that is an incredible stat. And that's probably about. Oh, Roy's here. Roy and Margaret are watching. Hi, chaps. And Jeff says, when will Josh Honahan be back fit? Don't know, but I would probably expect to see him at some point in
Soonish, I'd have thought.
the running. Yeah,
I think March was loosely mentioned a few weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but yeah, we've got no inside info on that. So
yeah, absolutely. So cool, right? Wow, Malcolm says the Football League. So we'll mention that in the second half because that's a good
clean sheet against Stockport will be a record for two different things.
Wow, incredible! Right, are we ready?
Indeed.
Let's come back in 3, 2, 1, and there we go. So. Always good to chat to folks on YouTube. Catch us at 7 o'clock on a Wednesday and a Sunday if you want to check us out live. If you don't want to check us out live, then you're doing the right thing and listening to the audio recording, I presume, or watching it. But there we go. As I say, we were celebrating, and then we kind of went, "Oh, something's going on over there," and sure enough, it was all kicking off, Jerry. It just. Apparently, this all stemmed from Sonny Bradley taking his shirt off and celebrating a bit too hard.
Apparently so. Yeah, it's difficult to see what really was the triggering point. And I'll be honest with you, Ben, I don't normally have a huge amount of interest in this sort of thing when everyone's on a football pitch. So I haven't done a huge amount of research looking back into every bit of the finer detail. It's all a little bit silly, really, isn't it, when this sort of thing happens?
It is, but I do want to I do want to tie it into something that Michael said in an interview the other week. So, yeah, obviously it all kicked off. It all got a bit heated. There wasn't anything nasty. Unlike, did you see that final in Brazil last night?
Yes, I saw the clip of that.
Which that's a proper after the final whistle brawl. 23 red cards were shown by the referee. Which
is amazing.
That's
got to be a record. There's not even that many players.
If you haven't seen the footage of it, I would highly recommend checking it out because it was unbelievable. But yes, it wasn't quite that level. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. You do get the comments from the commentators about, oh, nobody likes to see this. Everybody loves to see this. What are you talking about? But yeah, it all kicked off. It looked like everybody was getting involved. I think Dom Jeffries got really heavily involved at one point. I think he had his shirt nearly ripped off his back and was shown a yellow card.
I did notice, by the way, one little thing I did see. Dom Jeffries took his shirt off after the whole melee, definitely to try and avoid being spotted for a yellow card.
It didn't work. He got a yellow, unfortunately. But yeah, look, Tom Shaw was getting involved, and then after that, the players came down to the fans and were so pumped up and so up for it. It was just like, oh, this team are they're mad. Like, what's going on? And I think the thing was, it obviously seems to have stemmed from, given Conor McGrandle's post-match comments, it felt like this was a bit of a reaction to Exeter's over celebration at our place when they got we battered them for 93 minutes and then they stubbed one in off someone's toe in the 94th minute. You're like, oh, brilliant, okay. But yeah, it all got a bit out of hand. I think Matt Taylor's tried to pin it on Sonny Bradley, formerly being of Plymouth. I think that's just a bit silly. But what I wanted to tie it into was a couple of weeks ago, there was an interview with Michael, and he was talking about the work rate and the effort in the team and the work ethic in the team. And he was saying, it's not just about running for you, you run for your mate. And I think having that kind of wording of, you run for your mate, not only are they running for each other, like one person got involved with somebody and all of a sudden the entire Lincoln City squad are on that person like a rat on a Mars bar. It was, it was just, that is togetherness, that is solidarity. And I think as much as we don't like to see that, in inverted commas, I think we like to see the togetherness and the squad bonded like that, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it turns out I am interested in it after all. But it's a really good point. It's a really, really good point. And I suppose what I meant by saying I don't have a lot of interest is it's like it does feel a little bit childish sometimes when that sort of thing happens. Generally in football, it's normally sparked by something so small and so silly, and it feels it kind of goes over and above whatever it should be. But it's because people care, doesn't it? It's because people are pumped up. But what you said is an absolutely on the money. Absolutely on the money. Like, you look after your mates, and if it is the age-old saying of all for one and one for all, isn't it? And I think it's just, I suppose, even though it's maybe not the sort of scenes that you really want at the end of a football match, it's just another piece of evidence to show the unity in the squad, but also the whole club. I think for them, everyone to come over to the fans at the end and have that moment with the travelling support. Just like on Saturday, by the way, when like everyone was together, that must have been such a wonderful moment. By the way, I've never had jealousy like it on Saturday. I was absolutely gutted. I wasn't even able to watch the game, let alone be there. And I was obviously delighted for all of you to have such a wonderful time. But I was so jealous. I was so jealous of you. I really was.
I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, Chris, but it really was a bit of a big deal. I'm sorry. It was a special day.
Oh, of course it was. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is a big deal. Make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, but look, I think we'll wrap up on Exeter there. I just want to say that I think going into the game, the only real experience I'd had of Exeter was them coming to Sincil Bank and seeing the games from afar before. So I'd obviously seen the playoff semi-final where everything kicked off at the end, and I'd seen it when two of their players got sent off last season. I saw it when Gary Caldwell came to us and got sent off, and they just felt like one of those teams, like a sort of Gillingham, that you just don't like. That you whatever happens, there always seems to be some level of shithousery that goes on when we play Exeter, and I couldn't put my finger on it, and I always just used to sort of dislike them. But going to the ground yesterday and seeing what they've done and the setup that they've got, I really like everything away from the squad. I think the setup, the fact that obviously we know that they're fan owned and we know that they have a very restricted model in the way that they try and do things. I will have absolutely nothing but praise for everything around Exeter City, apart from the squads that seem to somehow end up riling us somehow. But yeah, I just wanted to make that point because it's very sometimes it's everything gets lumped under one umbrella, doesn't it? But I think it was really important to make that just like the delineation there between shithouse players, really nice club.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think that you do sometimes tie them under the same brush a little bit, don't you? And I think that's something that we're very, very lucky to have, because I do feel that our squad and the coaching team absolutely represent us as a club and as a fan base, the values that we generally have. But as you said, there isn't always that alignment and connection at every club. And yeah, at Exeter, I really hope they stay up.
100%.
I think it's so sad that the fan ownership model doesn't seem like it's a viable long-term strategy at League One level. But I really hope that they can keep defying the odds and showing that it can be. But yeah, maybe I don't like the squad too much, but do like the club. Respect it at least.
Yep, 100%. That was where I was feeling about that after the game yesterday. So, right, other bits of news before we come on to the weekend's game. Where were we? So yes, season tickets. Season tickets, Chris. Season tickets have sold out.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. That's a thing that's happening.
Yes. Yeah. If you are a current season ticket holder, your renewal will be held until the June window, but it is recommended that you get it bought or renewed before the April window closes, because your April window will be the best price that you can possibly get. If you are then wanting to renew after that, you can renew until June. However, if you are a bronze or a silver member, or somebody that is not yet a member, you cannot get a season ticket for Lincoln City next season. That is mental. I'm really. There's been so much stuff that's happened this season that I can't get my head around. But like, from going to games when you could choose which block you sit in, you could choose and have it to yourself, basically, to all of a sudden you can't buy a season ticket. It is insane. So if you want to get on the waiting list, it's a £30 deposit. If you are successful in getting a season ticket when somebody doesn't, excuse me, that came out of nowhere. If somebody doesn't renew, you can then have their season ticket. If they do renew and there are none available before your name hits the front of the queue, you will be given a silver or a bronze membership, or it will count towards a silver or bronze membership purchase. So yeah, get on it if you haven't already, because I'm sure that waiting list is going to get bigger and bigger as time goes on. What else did we have to talk about? Saturday is the Her Game 2 dedicated fixture. I know I said that there was another game a couple of weeks ago that was the dedicated fixture, and then I got shouted at by my wife because she is helping to organise it all. So yes, get yourself down into the fan zone, check out the pod, have a chat to everybody about what it's all about. it's a good good cause. Her game too. I'm in full support of it. And make sure you check all of that out. And there is Doncaster and Huddersfield. Doncaster is completely sold out now. I think it's sold out within minutes of going on sale to general sale, which again is crazy. Huddersfield is nearly sold out, I believe. And home games are selling out quickly as well now. So if you want to get involved with the rest of the campaign, get yourself on board. It's crazy, isn't it, Chris?
These are the days, Ben.
These are the days. But before we come on to Stockport, we do have to do the best wishes thing, because I got a little bit scared a bit earlier on. I was a bit shocked and like, what the bloody hell's going on there? Mr. Imps himself has been in hospital. Chris Ray has been in hospital over the weekend. He's not putting it down to the Cardiff game, but it happened after the Cardiff game. And I believe the term that was used was he has had a cardiac event, which is obviously very scary, and was seen to at the side of the road by paramedics. I think his family sort of helped the car get to the side of the road, I believe, as Chris was driving. So I think it goes without saying that everybody that is connected to the Stacey West, and including all of the listeners that do enjoy Chris's cartoons and his yearbooks and everything, that he gets well soon. And I have told him that if he wants a shout out on the podcast in future, all he has to do is ask. He doesn't have to go and make himself poorly. So
very good. Yeah, speedy recovery, Mr. Ray. Yeah, I'm wishing you all the very best. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Absolutely. So get well soon, Chris, and hopefully you're back at the bank sooner rather than later without being shouted at by a cardiologist. So should we look at Stockport, Chris?
Let's.
Because we are 19 games unbeaten, which is the club's record as it stands, tied with Danny Cowley. I don't know how confident I should feel that is going to be broken on Saturday, because right now, and this is going to be used as a clip, isn't it? Right now, I can't really see who's going to beat us. And given that a few weeks ago we were looking at Stockport and Bolton as the two teams that would be, the big ones, and we'd be worried about them, and we'd be looking over our shoulder at them. That sort of doesn't seem to be the case now. I mean, we're 21 points clear of Stockport, Chris.
yeah, we are. And they have got 2 games in hand. I'm not sure that counts for a great deal. But they have.
So at worst, we are 15 points clear of Stockport, Chris.
Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre, because for years we've been doing this, haven't we now? And we all have our own little roles. And I know mine's a nerdy one, and mine's to look at all the numbers and to try and work out like who's good, who's not so good, how do we beat this team, what are their strengths, their weaknesses, etc. And when you do that for so long, you have an idea in your head of kind of like a few benchmarks of like which numbers are good as a whole for a team in the top half, a team in the playoffs. So it's like, where does it normally fit? And I'm kind of looking at Stockport earlier, and not all, but the majority of their underlying numbers and their metrics are going, they really are looking like a really strong team, definitely a top 6 side. It's going to be a really tough game. And then you look at all of ours and you realise, but we're top. and we're good for it when you look at all the reasons why we're top. Like there's just so many things that we are not just better than the rest of the league at, but significantly better at. In terms of, we mentioned earlier, like where we concede our shots from, how often is it, like how and where we win the ball back. There's so much stuff that just paints a really clear picture of how and why we're a successful team. So when you're analysing opposition, it's very difficult to see them as not worse than you, even though like in terms of the whole barometer of League One, they are like genuinely a good team. They really are a strong side. But there are a couple of bits I think that's interesting about Stockport. They're very flexible. Though Dave Channel has for 4 times out the last 5 games has selected a back 3, has played a back 4 in one of them, but they're really fluid. It's one of the best attributes I'd say of Stockport is their adaptability. But they're on a bit of a sticky run. Only won 1 in 5. Prior to that, they won 4 out of 5. So it's not a sticky run over a long period of time. But it's, lost the last 2. 2 away games as well, Burton and Stevenage. Did beat Wigan at home 4-2, but needed Wigan to have a red card before they were able to nudge ahead in that game. Lost away at Bradford and drew 0-0 to a very, very poor Leyton Orient side at the moment. So as it stands right now, just hit a little bit of inconsistency, as some other teams have in the chasing pack, let's be honest. A couple of things, though, that maybe don't go so well for us. They score first 18 times out of their 34 games, which is not that good, but not terrible. Ours is 26, which is absolutely ridiculous. 5 more than anyone else in the league. But what is really interesting here for Stockport is that when they score first, they have only actually got the 17th best record in League One, but have got the best record when they concede the first goal. So we know that we're really good at scoring first. That doesn't necessarily maybe give us the same advantage that we would usually say it does against most other opposition teams. So they've definitely got some good attributes in regard to the mentality, I'd say, in terms of reacting to those disappointments. Another team up there like Bolton probably would be in a similar situation. They like to keep the ball, 5th of possession, but also 7th for most long passes, so they really can mix it up. And a big part of that is Carl Wootton up top, who is a goal scorer. Now, what appears to be the case, Ben, is they like to keep the ball, but when they need to, they can go long up to Carl Wootton. But they also seem to be quite reliant on him for goals. So they've won 16 games so far this season, but they've only won 5 games in which Carl Wootton hasn't scored or assisted in. And in the last 5 games, Carl Wootton has only scored in one of those games, and that just so happens to be the one they won. So it would indicate that if you don't let Carl Wootton have the ball or let him near the ball, Stockport aren't likely to score a significant number of goals. So, not so much tactical stuff here because they're very adaptable and most metrics are pretty mid-table to upper kind of part of the table. They're not really anything that stands out to them. I think that's because of their adaptability. They're certainly not a one-size-fits-all. But interesting game. But it's this one really feels about us just because of the run we're on. Because there's a couple of records up, but I know Michael is kind of downplaying the importance of those records, which was actually quite surprising for him to go, I don't really care about their unbeaten run. He didn't say it in those words, but that's kind of how it felt a little bit. He's like, as long as we pick up enough points to achieve what we want to, that's all that matters.
I did have to chuckle at that because I think it was on the Radio Lincolnshire interview when Michael Horton brought it up and he said, obviously the unbeaten run is now 19 games. It's the club record one. It did make me chuckle because Michael's response was, I'd trade it all for 3 points. I was like, but that would just increase the run, Michael.
Good point.
We'd all trade that for 3 points because that would just keep it going.
I got the sentiment though. The sentiment is he didn't really have the interest in the run or in records being broken. All he wanted to do was achieve the goals now, because we always like to look back over history and to find those patterns. And Michael's very keen to say like every game tells its own story, and it's always about the next one. And I know sometimes that's a bit cliche, but I really genuinely believe that's the mentality within the whole club, and it's worked pretty well so far. But I think from a fan's perspective, like let's not pretend that's not going to be on our mind on Saturday, because like we'll keep saying, like these are the days. I can't remember whether it was definitely mentioned on the podcast months ago, possibly maybe weeks ago, about wouldn't it be nice that when you look back on the good old days that you know when they are, and we keep saying like these are them. But if we do finish Saturday unbeaten after 20 matches and break the club's all-time records, like that's a line in the sand. That's a pin in the board, isn't it? That is something that's always going to look back on. Yeah, absolutely incredible. 5 clean sheets in a row as well, by the way. 5 wins in a row. We've only drawn 4 of those 19 games that we've that are unbeaten, which is absolutely incredible. But just on Stockport, they're one of the most difficult teams to analyse, I would say, for an amateur like myself, because there's not a lot that really stands out as a particular strength or a particular weakness. So you then just look for these little patterns that start to emerge. And yeah, the big one is that if they score, if they concede first, that isn't necessarily the worst case scenario for them. They do recover pretty well. Have recovered, I think, 16 points from 14 games that they've conceded first. So that's pretty good going. But they do appear to be pretty reliant on Carl Woodson for goal scoring, despite the quality they have in that front line.
Interesting. I mean, we will have a full preview tomorrow. I'm recording tomorrow evening with the fellow whose name escapes me at the moment, but we did the preview earlier on in the season. And yeah, I think from where I've been at, I've been so focused on the Cardiff game, I've been so focused on the Exeter game, that this has kind of snuck up on me a little bit. But again, 3 or 4 weeks ago, this was the biggest game. You know, it was like, oh, that's going to be huge. Like Cardiff Cardiff's fine. If we'll probably lose to Cardiff. That's not a problem. Like, we're not going to be. We might scrape second, and then it's like Stockport's the big game, Bolton's a big game, and now we are top of the table. We're 4 points clear, and Stockport are 21 points behind us. It's ridiculous. I can't wrap my head around what's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think to reference what we said at the start, it's difficult to put into words, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is difficult. I think I've got 2 things, and I'll shut up then. Just because one last thing on Stockport, which is they didn't have a game last night. They also didn't play on Saturday because they were due to play Mansfield.
2 weeks, isn't it? That they won't have had a game for.
So they'll be well rested, and also doesn't feel like it was that long ago when we first started to realise that maybe we could get automatic promotion. Maybe we could actually be in that race. We don't care about Cardiff though; they can go away and run away with it. We don't care about them; they're miles ahead of us, and they can run away with it if they want. We're interested in second, and then now, just a few weeks later, we're 4 points clear of Cardiff. It's just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable, and I still can't bring myself to say out loud that we're going up. I just can't.
Did. You did it. No. You said it. You said it. That counts. That counts.
That definitely doesn't count. I can't bring myself to say it and mean it. But yeah, all of the indicators are pretty good at the moment, aren't they? And I don't know if I said this before. I think I said it on a podcast, but I definitely said it to you guys. It's like head versus heart, but normally it's the other way around. Yeah. It's magical, absolutely magical.
So here's where I am with it, okay? And I want to bring to the fore the point that you just mentioned about 5 wins on the bounce, each 2-0, each to 0. We've not conceded in 5 straight wins. Malcolm pointed out in the chat during the break that is our best record in the Football League ever. But it's going back to, I think it was 1892. We have not done that. Somebody in the Discord raised the point that if we had lost, Chris, if we had not taken a single point from our first 17 games of the season, our current run would see us in the playoffs.
Wow. That's incredible.
We are good. We are very good. We are top of the table. We are 4 points clear. And I think, barring a monumental collapse, and it would take a collapse bigger than the collapse of 2011, or a bus crash, I think that's the other option.
Don't say things like that, mate. Jesus.
You know what I mean. It's something. It would take something catastrophic for us to not be playing Championship football next season.
Yeah, it would. But
because remember,
we're not there yet.
Remember
not
2 weeks
there
ago?
yet.
Remember 2 weeks ago on this podcast, I said to you, "Do you think Bolton can catch Cardiff?" And at the time, we were 1 point behind Cardiff. Chris, do you think Bolton can catch Cardiff now? Bear in mind that Bolton are 9 points behind Cardiff.
I think they could, but I don't think they could catch yours, Ben.
There you go. That's the important
You know what
question.
it is? There's a real difference. I know, obviously, we're top of the league and we weren't in 2021, whatever it was we got in the playoffs under Michael Appleton and COVID that season. I know we had a bit of a fall at that point, but it's the consistency of our performances. Like, we're getting the outcomes now, of course we are, but it's all because there's a consistent process. And we've got such an identity. I really struggle to see how we can throw it away, basically. Yeah. I feel like because of how we play, we're always in games. So even if we do come out on the wrong side of some tight results, because the likelihood is we're going to lose at some point before the end of the season. But you can't imagine that be a game where we just haven't turned up for. You can't imagine that be a game in which we've just been outplayed. Like, no one's going to outwork us. Very few teams are going to outplay us. They might get a bit of luck. There might be a small margin here or there, but the consistency of our performances means that we're always going to be in games, and we're always going to give ourselves a chance of getting a good result, aren't we? So, yeah, this is all logic talking. Like, logically, it's really positive. I just can't allow myself to truly, like, emotionally believe it just yet. But I'm not far away, I don't think.
No, I'm kind of with you. I mean, I've seen people working out the dates, working out when it could be, when we can properly start celebrating. I think Charlie said it best the other week. He's not going to start celebrating until we're 12 points clear with 3 games left, because 9 points clear with 3 games left, or 10 points clear with 3 games left doesn't feel like enough. Yeah, look, these are. I think the quote is, you don't know that it's the good old days until you've left them. And right now, the good old days are very much here. I can't wrap my head. I will finish the podcast the same way that I started it. I cannot wrap my head around what is happening to our football club at the moment in the best ways possible. I think we're going up, Chris.
It looks like we are, but I can't say it yet. You know what? Like, the last thing probably is maybe a bit more of a personal one, but I think of all of us maybe on the podcast, I've been the one that's been the most resistant, and Gary, of course, most resistant. But he always would be. He would be resistant even if we were 15 points clear with 1 game left, I think. But I think probably the most resistant to say it out loud and to really, like, genuinely believe it. I've listened to Michael Scubala. And he said, take it 1 game at a time. And I really honestly, genuinely have. And I haven't looked too far ahead. But you know what that's allowed me to do? It's allowed me to really enjoy the moment. And yeah, I'm just loving the moment right now. Absolutely loving the moment. So yeah, let's keep living the moments, living in the present. And yeah, the future looks rosy. And I'm sure it'll be enjoyable when we get there. But I'm having a quite nice time in the present as well.
Absolutely. Well, the not too distant future is upon us, Chris. Stockport on Saturday. Let's hope for another 3 points. Let's hope that unbeaten run gets broken. And hell, why not? Let's have another one as well. Let's get 6 clean sheets in a row. That'll be good, wouldn't it? But, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up, Chris, before we do wrap this one up?
No, all good. Thank you.
Okay, right. In that case, then, folks, you know what time it is. Up the Imps.
Up the Imps.